Welcome to the Lifestyle Medicine Update. I'm Dr. James Meschino. An important study published in the 2021 journal Biomedicines has shown that individuals with higher blood selenium levels who were previously treated for melanoma show better overall survival outcomes, meaning that they have a lower risk of recurrence, metastasis, and progression of their cancer than those who have lower blood levels of the mineral selenium. Now, melanoma is one of the most aggressive human malignancies. Over 320,000 new cases were diagnosed globally in the year 2020, with 57,000 deaths. Data from the Global Cancer Observatory indicate that over the last decade, the incidence rates of melanoma have increased by nearly 50%, with deaths increasing by 32%. According to the World Health Organization prediction, the number of deaths related to melanoma will increase by 20% in the year 2025, rising to 74% in 2040. So in addition to avoiding excessive exposure to ultraviolet light from the sun and tanning beds, and that's the really most important thing to do, is to avoid overexposure to the sun and tanning beds. One of the emerging ways to potentially help protect yourself against melanoma is to also ensure that you have a blood level of selenium that's in the ideal range. As the authors of the 2021 study explain, and I quote, "Many studies show that the mineral selenium takes part in several cellular processes and molecular pathways that may be involved in anti-cancer activity." And then they go on to explain the anti-cancer activity associated with better selenium levels, which include reducing DNA damage. If you can reduce DNA damage, you have fewer mutations that can lead to cancer. Also decreasing free radical damage in the cell that can cause DNA damage. Also reducing cellular inflammation, improving the detoxification of cancer-causing agents in the body. Also enhancing immune system function. Immune cells have to find cancer cells and kill them before they can get traction. Also regulating the cell cycle, how fast the cell divides and the checkpoints in the cell cycle. Also inducing what's called apoptosis, which means programmed cell death. If a cell is becoming cancerous, it can actually put the brakes on and turn on certain systems that will cause the cell to commit suicide before it becomes a serious type of cancer or threat to the body. That's called apoptosis. And also decreasing the ability of tumor cells to grow new blood vessels to feed themselves, so they can't have the same level of progression. This is known as anti-angiogenesis. Selenium seems to participate in all these anti-cancer activities. They say this: additionally, many other in vivo and in vitro reports have found that selenium compounds and selenium-based proteins in the body may affect other aspects of cancer development and progression. It's not definitely understood how selenium affects cancer prognosis, but the literature supports the association between higher selenium levels in the blood and improved cancer outcomes overall. For instance, the researcher Harris and fellow researchers who worked on a project suggested that selenium may improve breast cancer-specific survival and overall survival for these patients. Other publications have recently presented the association between low blood levels of selenium and survival in women with breast cancer as well. So higher selenium levels seem to also improve outcomes for women that have had breast cancer. Higher serum selenium levels at the time of diagnosis have also been reported to be associated with improved outcomes in patients with cancers of the lung and the larynx as well. Now, regarding melanoma specifically, the study published in the journal Biomedicines in 2021 involved 375 melanoma patients from Poland, which found that low serum selenium levels, a level below 76.44 micrograms per liter, was associated with an increased mortality rate in the 10-year follow-up study of the diagnosis. So they followed these individuals after their melanoma diagnosis and initial treatment, and they followed them for the 10-year period following. Individuals that had higher selenium levels at the outset had much lower rates of death over the 10-year period. All study participants fasted for 12 to 14 hours prior to having their blood drawn. The measurement of their selenium was conducted prior to the treatment for melanoma, other than surgical removal of the primary skin lesion. The researchers concluded that their findings are consistent with the literature data. So this is not a one-off finding. It's consistent with other reports that we have, since in all published studies, they say, either low serum selenium levels correlated with worse prognosis or higher selenium levels correlated with better outcomes. What they said, and they concluded with this statement: We showed herein that low selenium level might contribute to worse survival for patients with melanoma. So I think this study suggests that we should all strive to have a selenium blood level that's above 77 micrograms per liter rather. I personally take a multivitamin and mineral supplement each day that contains 200 micrograms of selenium. This really ensures an optimal blood level of selenium and is consistent with other studies showing that the positive effects of this selenium dosage, 200 micrograms per day, on more optimal immune system function, and when combined with coenzyme Q10, also a decreased risk of death from cardiovascular disease. We saw that recently. So I've included the references for all this information in the text below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.